Hello, hello. Oh, I'm excited. Don't know about you guys, but I'm definitely excited. Because guess who's here?
Hi, everybody.
It is Return of Minty and Engineer. And if you haven't listened to the Neverending Train, I recommend you do that first, because there's going to probably be allusions to spoilers, even if we can't actually remember stuff. This is very much a game which you need like precursory information to understand
Definitely.
at all. So I'm sorry about that, my dudes, but it is a bit esoteric. Kit, do you want to maybe do a little, just quick spritz remind us what happened in the previous adventure that's basically that probably the day before this FPS?
Yeah, pretty much. All right. So, in the previous game, which was entitled Welcome to Einquell, Minty and two of her Blisslander friends came over to Einquell with the use of a magic amulet in an attempt to track down somebody known as the Engineer, who she believes had something to do with her disappearance several months ago. And they were thrust into the middle of Toontown during Halloween, which was quite a bit of culture shock.
Mm.
But they ran into a trio of friendly, air quotes, monkeys who showed them all the fun of Halloween, and they were supposedly going to take them to Dodo Studios. But it turns out these monkeys weren't as nice as they seemed, and they led the three of them all right into a yakuza base, where they were immediately set upon by all the thugs. But fortunately, they had a couple of allies who had been undercover in said base.
Indeed, and I outed Charlie way too soon. Still very sorry about that, Charlie. Uh, yeah, so Engineer and Charlie helped the Blisslanders, who I'm gonna say y'all rocked pretty hard, especially because of the hits you were taking. Like, you did fantastic, and it was very good. So, he's already had quite a positive impression of you, and partly out of guilt, because you kind of got a bit mashed. The Engineer, after a bit of discussion at the end of that episode, which was a bit of a what, invited y'all back to the studio to get patched up, probably quite literally, considering you are stuffed toys. So
Yep.
I'll ask you at this conjecture, though, definitely you will have been invited into the studio and given permission and healed up. Would you have wanted to stay there, or would have your trio preferred to stay in a nearby bed and breakfast?
Well, here's the thing. None of us have money
Ah.
because Blissland is one of the few places in the multiverse that has not been tainted by capitalism, and they don't have currency. So,
Well, put it this way. I mean, like,
yes, they don't really have much options.
the engineer would have been willing to pay to put you three up if you wanted, that rather than immediately being plunged into this another strange place.
Right. I think at this point, I think they probably would want to just kind of stick together and probably stay around at the studio.
Okay,
It's a whole new place, but at this point they're kind of just too tired. So,
interesting. Okay, so
unless you want
yeah,
to say that maybe the other two, yeah,
no, it's fine.
maybe the other two were put up at a place nearby the studio. Yeah,
I don't know. Like, if you're definitely staying together, I think you would stay together. I can't speak for the other two,
and we
but
want to stay together
yeah,
definitely.
I feel like that's the natural thing. So, I would ask you at this point what your passive perception is.
It is a 15.
Okay, 15 is very good. Regardless of how the other two respond to this situation, you're all very tired and blah. And they put you up in a room, and it's a studio, it's not a hotel, even though quite a lot of people stay here now. So, they have the means available to outfit yet another cranny of this vast, vast building. It is huge. Can't emphasize that enough. If you've
Right.
never been on a movie lot, those places are just so vast, it's hard to wrap your mind around
Mm-hmm.
unless you've been. So there is plenty
Yeah.
of room, and it's comfortable, and they make it comfortable for you.
Right.
With a 15 in passive
Not to mention,
perception,
I'm pretty sure Jolly probably packed a couple blankets and pillows in that
oh yeah,
giant backpack of his.
yeah,
So
alongside with the squirrel, the entire
yeah,
ass squirrel who was in there.
just a whole squirrel in his backpack, like you do.
Whatever, you never know, you might need one. With a passive
Yeah, it's his emotional support friend.
my emotion, sir, that's my emotional support squirrel. Which you might need, because the 15 definitely passes this, because they're not being too subtle about it. But while the engineer has been entirely welcoming to you and quite apologetic, and does in his heart of hearts trust you, and he doesn't know why, he really wants to trust you, things are kind of whack shit right now. So he has asked basically everyone to keep an eye on you, and not just like to keep an eye out for you, like definitely, you know, look after these people and treat them nicely, but also keep an eye on them, because we don't know shit about them. So, you know, especially in the morning, maybe when you're waking up and being outfitted with a, you know, a breakfast which is exemplary. You think they must have a really good chef here. You do definitely catch the occasional glance, and especially the owls, when they're walking away from you, like the head rotates so that it continues to look at you for a little bit too long. You think maybe they just do that because they're owls, but yeah, there you definitely know that you're being observed.
Which is understandable, because admittedly, after the whole run-in with the Yakuza and those three monkeys, the Blisslanders are definitely, like, very much, like, not super trusting at the moment. Like, I mean, Minty is also, like, the only reason she's going with the engineers because, like, what she's kind of deduced based on, like, the object she had in her hammer space, which we'll get to eventually, but basically she's sort of realized that if this is the engineer person, and also she kind of has the sense of, like, you know, I don't know this guy, but, like, I feel like I can trust him for some reason, so there's that.
Same hat.
It's definitely kind of a mutual, like, bit of tension between both groups of, like, not entirely trusting one another, save for, like, Minty and the engineer, kind of.
Yeah. It's pretty rough for the engineer, I'll be honest, because, you know, he's made so much progress, especially over the past year, of learning to open up and be more trustworthy, while at the same time being in a lot of hot water from a lot of different angles, and therefore having to be quite cagey. So he's like got a kind of a war inside himself, because his gut instinct knows that you're good and loves you, and he's confused about that. But, like, he's trying to do the sensible thing at the same time. And regarding that, you hear a very meek...
Minty will get up and go answer the door.
And you open the door, and there's a very, very nervous owl just blinking at you in a sort of... I am supposed to be here, but I don't know who you are, so I feel very shy. And she said, "Oh, hello. Well, you see, the engineer was hoping to have a conversation with you, if that's all right."
Oh, of course. I mean, that's kind of the whole reason we came here in the first place, but thank you very much. Oh, I'm Minty, by the way. What's your name?
Oh, hello. I'm Daisy. And if it's okay, he did ask for you to go by yourself. I hope that's all right.
She kind of glances back at, like, where her friends, like, might be resting or whatever, and she'll sort of, like, give them a wave, like, I'll be all right. Then she'll turn back to Daisy.
Yeah, that should be okay.
Oh, that's wonderful, wonderful. If you'll just follow me.
And she turns around and shuffles off at, not too rapidly that you're going to get lost, but with the sort of familiarity of someone who's like, knows the shortest way possible to get to the destination. So just to see, like, how you're feeling after yesterday's fracas and, like, keeping up in this, frankly, kind of overwhelming environment, make me an athletics check.
Alright, athletics.
See how you're holding up.
It's a straight D20.
Oh boy.
This bunny's not very strong.
17.
And she still got a 17.
Oh, that's great. Okay, so fine. You're feeling fine. How do you feel about this place? Because you're in a movie studio, which presumably you've never been in before.
Of course, yeah. No, but they don't really have anything like this back at Blissland. I think she was definitely, like, may not have, like, kind of paid as much attention because, like, she was so exhausted last night, but today, now that she's rested up a bit, she's definitely kind of looking around in amazement, like, and all the, like, all the cameras and all the stuff there, and, like, just how huge this place is and all the people going around, and also, like, if she ever, like, I know if she passes by, she probably just gives them a really happy wave, like, "Hi, I'm Minty," like, "Hi, nice to meet you," just greeting people as she goes.
Depending on who it is, you do get people waving back or muttering and looking a bit confused or suspicious. The penguins seem to be really happy to see you. Like, I think they're less clued in on what is the deal, and they're just like, hey, how you doing? Or hey, I'm working here. But it's just like a very friendly atmosphere, and there's definitely a mingling of owls and penguins, and in previous years this was not the case, but definitely a camaraderie between these two distinctive avian species here. And you eventually arrive at a surprisingly humble sort of a door. It's kind of rough and wooden, but it has one of those misted window panels with, you can tell, the engineer embossed on it. And yeah, you are at the door. What would you like to do?
I don't know if like Daisy's holding the door open, or like if you can, Minty will probably like knock on the door, and it doesn't really make as much of a knocking sound. There's kind of like a squeaky toy noise as she knocks on it.
Daisy gives you a double thumbs up and sort of goes around the corner, and you hear, "Come in."
Right, Minty will open the door and come in.
Hi, Mr. Engineer.
Oh, good, you're okay. Okay, yes, just let me put this away. And he shuffles a stack of paper and clacks it on the desk and puts it away in a drawer. Looked like some kind of script type all over it. And he sits behind the desk with his fingers crossed. He's smoking a cigar at the moment, and then looks slightly embarrassed and puts it out in the palm of his hand and puts it in his pocket and says, "Oh, excuse me, it's on the doctor's orders, but I'm sure it's not as good for you as it is for me. So, have a seat."
And he definitely kind of like tilts her head a bit at the cigar, like doctor's orders. That aren't those supposed to be bad for you? But yeah, she'll take a seat.
Well, I'm not sure where to start with this conversation, but welcome to Dodo Studios.
Yes, and thank you again so much for putting us up for the night. Sorry for the trouble.
Oh, no trouble. I'm getting quite used to it. I could open a boarding house at this rate. You like your breakfast, I take it?
Yeah, it was really good. My compliments to the chef.
Good. I'll let him know. I'd like you to roll an insight. Just get a vibe. Also, I know you're
Alright,
very good at it.
Insight. That's a dirty 20.
Here we go with the good rolls, Minty. You never disappoint. You don't know this guy, or you think you're not supposed to know this guy, even though you kind of do. But you can tell with a dirty 20, he's nervous. He's like actually nervous. He's playing it off cool. It's only because you're so good at reading people that you can tell. But yeah, he's sitting a little too still. He's holding himself too together, and there's like, you know, too much of a firmness to the corner of his jaw, and you can just tell like he is wrong-footed. He doesn't know what to do, and this is probably, you would maybe assume, considering he runs this place, a guy who is used to knowing what the hell he's doing. He doesn't know where to start with this conversation, so he may be looking to you to do that.
Definitely. So I'm sorry for dropping in on you like this, but well, you're kind of been my only lead. I guess I should start from the beginning, if that's all right.
I find that it is an excellent place to start. Please do.
Right. So let's see. It was a few months ago now, maybe a year by now. I don't know exactly how many. But well, something very strange happened. Back where I live. Maybe I should explain that too. So I come from a place called Blissland, which is in the astral plane.
If he had eyes to widen, his ears go up slightly, but he doesn't actually interrupt or anything, like me.
And normally it's pretty much one of the safest places in the universe, but something very strange happened. Well, I disappeared, and for about 2 days, and nobody knew where I was. But then I came right back after 2 days, and I was completely fine, but I had no idea what happened to me either. None of us did. You can understand we're all kind of worried about that, considering we don't know what if someone else got taken like that. You don't know what could have happened to me if I went somewhere dangerous. It's all very, a bit worrying.
Would that happen to have been about a year ago?
Yeah,
I think it was about, and she'll give like the approximate like exact like amount of time. I don't really know how much it'd be in universe, but she knows. So
And I don't know what the temporal overlap of these two worlds is, but let's say that it's uncannily similar. And yes, the engineer
Right.
nods and sort of rolls a hand for you to keep on going.
so, like I showed you yesterday, the only clues I really had was that there were some objects in my hammer space that I don't remember putting in there. They were just kind of there.
and speaking of which, let me roll a hammer space roll to get those objects. Oh, it's close
Just
to a
about.
fumble. All right.
Get stuck.
So she will take out the yeah. She'll take out the sketchbook and the business card.
Mm.
Kind of slide them across the table to him.
So there's this card here which looks like a way to contact you, and the sketchbook which it had your name written on the cover, so I assume it belonged to you. That's kind of why I came here, because, well, if I have these and they belong to you, then maybe you would know what happened to me.
Well, to answer in reverse order, I do not know what happened to you. I'm terribly sorry to tell you that. But that is definitely my sketchbook. And I had a similar experience. And he reaches to the inside of his waistcoat. He's just in his waistcoat and shirt sleeve, because we're indoors and it's warm. And he unclips something. He hasn't put it in his hammer space. And he's had this since he came back from his own 2-day hiatus. And he unpins it and puts it on the desk. And it's a little green crocheted flower. And then he rolls hammer space, because he does have something that he also got, and he has no pegging idea what it is, which is great. An 8. Okay, he also pulls out from his hammer space something that looks like if it looks like the pin from a hand grenade, only it's shiny and gold. And from a second look, you can estimate it to be maybe a key, but it's a key with no teeth. It's just a straight metal bar with the hoop at the end. And he doesn't even know it's that. Like, he has a -9 in Arcana. He don't know what that thing is. And he puts these on the table and he says, I had a similar experience and vanished from this world for 2 days, which was badly timed. Oh, well timed. No, it was badly timed. It was a terrible time to disappear for any amount of time. And that's a very complicated story, which I cannot be getting into right now. But when I came back, I had these 2 objects, which I don't know anything about, apart from knowing that one, and he points at the green flower. That one, for some reason, is important to me, and I don't know why. You'll probably think I'm mad. And I was missing my sketchbook, which any artist has to have one on them and never takes it off, so I was plain distressed to lose that. And then you come up here and you've got it.
Look, I'm gonna have her roll investigation on the flower to see if she like recognizes it. 18, yeah. She definitely recognizes it.
Strange. I've definitely made flowers like that before.
You?
I can't say for certain if I'm the one who made it, but it looks a lot like my handiwork.
Well, I have to say the colour complementary is slightly uncanny. You made... So how did I... And I think he's going to make a whiz save just to like, because we know there are definitely things we can't remember about this experience. So this is going to be like basically what his brain does. A 5.
Oh no!
Oh, he puts his paw to his head and like just sort of goes and it's like he's suddenly got one of those knitting needle through the skull type migraines. And it's just like okay, ow, ow, ow.
No, are you okay?
Well, I'd love to say yes, but ow. Okay, that's a cracking headache. Did I have too much to drink last night? No, I don't think I did. Sorry, forgive me. whenever I try and think about that time, it all gets a bit foggy. I don't know what happened. Do you have? I mean, you just said you don't, but any memories at all?
Uh, if I should do wisdom save myself, because she's definitely like probably had some similar stuff in the past, like when she's tried to think about that.
Sure.
I'll give it a shot here too. It's wisdom. Okay, 13. So definitely doesn't get as bad like a migraine from it, but like definitely her eyes twitching like a little bit, just like trying to think. Like,
I know it's definitely like I said, I don't remember any of it, and whenever I try to. Actually, that reminds me though. So something else, and she'll open the sketchbook and she'll kind of flip a few pages in, and Ma, do you want to describe what the inside of the sketchbook looks like?
Cool. Okay, so for the first half of it, I would say, because he already had this before he ended up on the Never-Ending Train. There are rough ideas or compositional sketches or quotes that are, it's basically any artist's sketchbook putting down random ideas and occasionally like frantic notes to get that payment done on time, otherwise you'll be in shit, and so on and so forth. And then at about the halfway point, what is written is the logbook of all the events that happened on the Never-Ending Train, which became increasingly meticulous. Like the first couple of carriages, he just was, again, taking inspiration from it and kind of noting it down as a little adventure while being stressed out about it. And then it became like very factual and incremental detail and trying to figure out how the hell to get off this thing. However, we can't read that because it's spoilers.
No, we cannot.
So it's, I feel like maybe it's like you try and look at it and your eyes just slide into middle focus, or the writing seems to like sort of go all gel-like. It's impossible to read. It like slides off your peripheral vision, and it's a little bit like trying to read something in a dream. Like that part of your brain is not working. And he's thumbing through it and saying, "This is. Did you do this to the sketchbook?"
No, it was like that when I found it. I can't read a lick of it, and I showed it to a bunch of people, and they can't really read it either.
Well, my handwriting isn't fantastic, but I will say it's more legible than this. And he eventually gets to a page which is slightly different. Like, it's still illegible in the same way, but it almost looks like the smears and the warping is in a different style of handwriting. And I think you might know why that is.
Yeah, because at one point, even though the writing's very blurry and they can't read what it is, they can kind of see what the handwriting is, and it definitely changes to like a much neater script by comparison. So clearly, somebody else started writing in the sketchbook, but it's unclear who that might be until we get to a certain entry, which is as such.
Yeah, there's this one entry here. It's the only one I'm able to read. Some of the other ones I can read bits and pieces of, but for the most part, I the only one.
Then she'll clear her throat and she'll read out the entry.
The couch has finally been finished being built, and it's definitely the comfiest couch ever, just like I wanted. Fortunately, it might actually be too comfy, at least for what we have in mind. When Oscar went to test it for us, he fell asleep within seconds. So it's not really going to work out for my office. I can't exactly help my patients work through their problems if they doze off the moment they sit down. Still gonna keep this one around, though. Goodness knows, a hard-working bunch like us could use something like that to make us take breaks more often.
And there's a something. It might be a name. It's not sure, but it's completely illegible. So
Still thinks that this is a waste of time, but I think details like this are important. The little things that make the whole therapy experience easier. The more comfortable my patients are, the more willing they'll be to share their problems. That means they'll be.
And then it kind of goes off into more illegible script.
Cool. Make another insight check.
Insight time, alright.
Ooh,
That's a 22.
very good. I mean, I think at this point he's also less cagey because he's just so curious. And while he's listening, you know, he's interested the entire time because, yeah, he's looking like at it while you're reading it out. And I feel like he can only just about start to read it after you've read something. It's like, you know, the mist kind of clears away when you've said those words, but he still can't read most of it.
Right.
And certainly not the parts that you can't read because you translated it. So he's like interested, so he's watching it so intensely. But when you say the word Oscar, his jaw ever so slightly drops. Like it's still like it's very, very hard to perceive it, but you're just so trained for these tiny little nuances of behavior that give things away, that you know that has some significance to him.
And her eyes definitely go a little bit wide when she notices this, and she's kind of excited, like,
Oh, did you recognize that name? I've been wondering for a while who this Oscar person is. Like, maybe they were also wherever we've disappeared to? Do you know who that is?
He looks around you and checks that the door is shut, and then returns to sitting upright, because of course it is, and you're polite and you would have shut it behind you. He says,
of course, yeah.
it could just be a coincidence. I mean, it could just be coincidence, surely. But I have not been called by that name for a long time, so I don't know why you would ever know it as my name, but it was once, or is sort of. It's on my birth certificate, so.
Oh, so well, I guess your name is Engineer now, but yeah, I guess that kind of sounds more like a title, but so that's who that was. I guess that means it's not another person we can try and talk to, but, I mean, that
Sorry
answers
to-
that mystery, I guess.
Sorry to disappoint, but I mean, it may not be.
That's okay, it's not your fault.
There's plenty of people called Oscar. I mean, I knew this one fella who lived in a trash can. Gosh, he was a state. Anyway, but used to be orange, I just had green. Anyway, real character. Actually, I wonder what he's up to. But it is possible that's me, but you know, it's a common enough name. That's probably why I changed mine. I mean, the engineer, you're not likely to forget it. Oscar? Who's the peck's Oscar? Anyway, but returning to the contents.
I think it's a nice name, but to each their own, I guess.
I don't mind that. It's just, it's of a time of its own, you know? But to return to the contents, the couch thing, I can't really perceive what that's about, but you were talking about, like, well, I'm saying you. I'm assuming that you wrote this, but I could be completely wrong. Did you?
No, I think I might have. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, the handwriting changes, and I've had this for I don't know how long, but maybe I did write it something now, and this definitely sounds like me. I mean, I am kind of a therapist, so I guess talking about patients and seeing them, it does kind of make sense. So I probably did write this. I don't remember writing it.
That. I mean, forgive me for asking, I have no idea how old you are, but you're a therapist?
Yeah, I am. And, well, age is kind of weird for my species. Let's see. I think I'm somewhere around 300, or I've existed that long. Yeah, both sliders are kind of strange. We're kind of adults and children at the same time, if that makes sense.
His mouth kind of like opened and then clamped shut and then opened again to try and say something, but then like the hand goes over and he just like does the sort of finger wag with his other paw on it, like kind of like, wow, how do I even begin? And he's like, okay, so that's unexpected but very impressive. You are potentially older than the continent that you are currently standing on.
Oh, wow, huh.
Well, the
I guess
present
it's not weird to me
iteration
because,
gets
I mean, we live a
confusing.
pretty long time, so...
That's...
Yeah.
Wow, sorry, I'm actually quite excited about that. I want to ask you so many questions, but I feel like I've got to make best use of your time. Let's go back right to the beginning, because I'm going to be honest, I'm not great with magic terms, and I say that Bill know what I'm talking about. But you said you were from a different plane.
Yeah, the astral plane. Well, I have heard that the rest of it can be a bit more dangerous. Blissland's kind of its own little bubble. You can't really go outside of it once you're in, and people don't really visit it like physically. Children visit it in their dreams. They sort of have an astral protection of themselves, which it's physical when they visit there. Yeah, kids visit in their dreams, and we Blisslanders, we take care of them while they're visiting, and we play with them, and if they have problems, we can talk to them and help them figure them out. Oh, that's what I do. I'm a caretaker. A lot of us have like lots of different jobs because not everyone wants to be a caretaker, but I am one, and it's a pretty good job.
Well, as a grandfather and a father, I can agree with you there. I'm gonna just roll Arcana with my -9 and see how much of the first bit he
I was gonna say
understood.
when
Oh, baby.
I was gonna say, -2.
He has no fucking idea what the first bit was about, and he's just not gonna bring it up again.
I will say though, when he mentions that he's like a father and a grandfather, her eyes like her face lights up and she's so excited, like, oh my gosh, you have kids and grandkids? Oh my gosh, what are they like? What are their names? How old are they? And she's just like so excited about this.
Well, you could be here for a while. I've got 21 grandchildren and children. Well, if you're including everybody, then there's... And I think there's just, like, a cutaway, and then we fade back in, and, like, he's still,
Rambling about this.
like, listing them out. And then there's Shortskirt and
Listening intently.
Snillion, and, you know, it's just... Wow. And then he wraps up and he says, and there's Larry, who, you know, he probably wouldn't agree with me, but I count him because he's very important. Oh, I hope you can meet them all. They're so important. This entire studio is my family. You know, I cherish them so much, and you know, having met you, I already feel great just talking to you. You're from a different world. You wouldn't be able to help, but like, if I were to say reach out needing a therapist, what should I be looking for? Because I'm considering getting one in house for a while.
Oh, really now? I mean, I'm not really sure about that. I mean, I was kind of planning on going back to Blissland after getting some answers, but well.
Oh no! I wouldn't
really
ask
get any
you
answers.
about
This
it. I
this
mean,
isn't
like,
your fault. I mean,
you've only just arrived. I wouldn't have put that on you. I was meaning, from your professional standpoint, what sort of qualities would I look for if I was going to employ someone?
let's see. Well, definitely someone who has plenty of experience with it and knows their stuff. We Blisslanders are kind of born knowing lots of psychological stuff. Pretty much any knowledge we need to help the kids that we take care of. Definitely someone who's very caring and wants to take good care of their patients and is very patient and wants to listen to them.
He's actually writing all of this down.
Really?
So he's actually
Yeah, that's good, that's
habitually
good.
he's habitually spun the diary around and like started writing in it because, you know, he always did, and then he sort of realizes what he's done and he's like, oh well, I've started anyway. Carry on. Yes.
Actually, speaking of this though, I kind of have a question myself.
Hey, anything you like. I mean, I've been grilling you something awful.
It's all right. Everyone here okay? Because I mean, I know you don't really know us that well and we're strangers, but everyone seems really, really tense ever since we came here.
And he sits back in the chair, sort of, you know, when you do that with your hands on the desk in a sort of sheepish way.
Yeah, I feel like
Yeah, he does that. He said, well, it's been an interesting past year, let's put it that way. How do I summarise this? You don't have movie studios in Blissland, do you? He asks, with hope.
No, we don't. We do have a big theater in the castle, though.
A
Put on
theatre?
plays there sometimes.
Like plays and stuff. Okay, well that gives me
Yeah.
some ground to base it off. Okay, so So what I do is I'm a director of movies, which are like plays, but you record it so you can play it over and over again. And you can do magical things, make entire worlds and characters just live and put music to it and light it. Oh, it's wonderful. I can show you some later if you want. But I may get carried away. It's any entertainer will know that as much as you strive to bring people out of their own stress and real life situations to alleviate that sort of pain, it's a stressful business, and the bigger you get, the more of a target you are. And that was true before, but this year things, well, they stepped up a bit. And there's a sort of glance at the fourth wall. His ear flicks. And, well, those people that we encountered with you, the Yakuza, they're a pain in the ass, frankly, and they've been causing trouble for a couple of years, like a long
I will
time.
say real quick, she winces a little like when he says ours, just because like gasp swear words.
My apologies. This Albert
Continue.
is not rated PG. He is well versed in Grolix. But I think. Oh, let's roll insight. See if he noticed that. Because you said you're like 200, 300, so he's assuming you're okay. 9.
300.
He hasn't got a clue. He just keeps going because he's Glasgow. Swearing is a part of the vernacular.
You said inside, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, he's just kind of like, yeah, how do I explain this? So, the Yakuza were kind of always there. Like, in this world, people sort of fill in niches, And sometimes you need a sort of villain or a foil or someone to just cause some mischief. And I think that's what originally they were about, and they weren't too much of a problem. But then things changed, and they're a problem. They're like a real problem now. And through various occurrences, which I can't relate to you in detail, if you really want. I'm not sure I do. I've become a bit of a thorn in their side, and they've become a bit of a thorn in mine. So, yeah, me and Charlie were doing a little bit of research to see if we could figure out how to take a bit of the sting out of them, and then you lot came in, and it was just like, well, pick, we can't let them get mashed up. So we stepped in, and that's an avenue we'll have to cut off, but it's alright, we've got other plans in the making. Basically, the studio is facing strife as it's never seen before, and yeah, I think a therapist around the place would be a good addition to the team.
And I think throughout all this explanation, Minty's been listening very carefully, and her expression's kind of grown a bit more solemn, and then a lot more kind of pensive. Like she's very thoughtful, like she's thinking very hard about something.
Oh, golly, it sounds like you guys have dealt with a lot of awful stuff. I'm so sorry.
Aye, that's the short and long of it. Sorry to offload on you like this, but that's why I'm trying to find the right
okay.
person for the job.
Listening to people's problems is kind of my whole job.
Exactly. Well, that's it. Yeah, there's no one better to ask than a professional like yourself, and I confess, never sought out someone for this sort of task before, which I probably should have. But, everybody's got to learn at some point, so, any guidance you can give me, I would be entirely grateful.
You can roll an insight on her now, actually. So.
Q. Completely missed the swearing thing, but maybe this'll work. Oh my God! There's the nat 20.
Wow, nat 20.
Oh.
Nice. Very nice.
Yay.
Okay. So yeah, with that nat 20, holy cow. Yeah, she's definitely. You definitely tell she's thinking very deeply. She's definitely like kind of considering something. Like she's trying to make a decision, Well, either way, it's a nat 20.
I know, sorry, I wrote the wrong plus, but never mind.
You're fine. It's a nat 20.
It's still a
really
nat 20.
matter. But yeah. She's definitely considering something, and, like, she's kind of having difficulty coming to a decision. Because, like, she's hearing about, like, how you guys could really use some help around here. And, like, I mean, she's a therapist. She could definitely provide that. But there's also the fact that, like, with how spectacularly bad last night went, and it's kind of proven how, yes, indeed, this place is a very, very dangerous place. Right now, she's kind of, like, internally debating, like, should I help these people and, like, maybe become, like, a therapist here, or should I go back home where it's safe? Like, kind of mulling this over and having trouble, like, coming to a decision.
Well, with my psychic level of insight there, I guess I glean all of that. Well, he does. And I think he actually sort of goes, oh, no, and reaches over sort of automatically and puts his paw on your paw, and for some reason that feels familiar. And he says, no, I can tell that you're a good soul. For all this years, well, my entire life has made me somewhat paranoid, I will say that honestly. I do trust you. I really want to. I think you're a good person. I'm just gonna go with that. I'm not asking you to become a therapist. You're from a different... Well, for all I know, you've got to go back there in 5 minutes. No. You've only just met me. And I am very grateful for my sketchbook back and just this conversation, because the fact that someone else has been through what I been went through is something. But don't put yourself through a mangle trying to make a decision to stay here, especially not like right now. But like I couldn't ask you to do that. You're from what sounds like a wonderful place. If I was you, I would just go back, look after your kin.
Well, thank you for saying all that. And I definitely do want to come back there. The good news is they're not technically a time limit. I mean, she'll pull out her amulet again, like the one that's hanging around her neck. The only time limit is this thing needs to recharge, but after that I can go back home whenever. The thing is, ordinarily I don't think I would like even be considering staying here, because I mean, like, we've just met, but it's kind of like you said, I just trust you for some reason, and I don't know why, but I really want to help you, like you specifically, and like all your friends and family and people who work here too, but like especially you. And I don't know, just the whole time I've had the fact that I had this sketchbook, especially now that I've like gotten to talk to you, I just don't remember what happened to us when we disappeared, but for some reason I feel like maybe we were friends during that time, and now we don't remember it, but I don't know, I just feel like you're really important to me somehow.
If I gave you that book, I mean, if I gave you a business card, that already means that you impressed me. I don't give those out like candy. It's important to make connections, it's true, but like I said, I have trust issues, let's be frank. But if I, for some reason, gave you that sketchbook, I definitely trusted you. You don't know how important a sketchbook is to someone like me. That is my livelihood. If the wrong person got hold of that, that's goodbye to like years worth of material of movies. I just would have to scrap every idea I wrote down in that. It's a very personal thing. And even without that, it's true. I feel like I know you. Is that too weird?
Oh, I feel that too. Like ever since I saw you again at that warehouse, just like I don't know, deja vu or something. Just I feel like I know you and I don't want to lose you again.
And then she stops when she says that and like has a really shocked look, like,
Ooh.
Why did I say that?
Oh, I'm gonna make another whiz save. A 9. I think he gets, like, it's not as bad as the migraine from before, but he definitely gets that sort of swaying. You know when you have deja vu, but it's so bad that it's like nausea. like, you feel
kind of zone out almost.
hollow and like you're
Right.
not anywhere. It's just like, yeah, he gets a wash of that when you say that. And yeah, he looks quite dizzy. He looks a little bit unwell.
Yeah, she'll kind of like support him like by his shoulders a little bit, like get him to sit back down, like if he's been leaning forward or something. Like,
Well, take it easy. Don't overdo it.
Sorry, I must
That
have been.
was
I must have been
weird.
working too hard. I do have a habit of doing that. I'm sorry.
yeah. I don't know, but I mean, like I said, I mean, I just feel like this is important somehow, and I want to be able to help you. And it sounds like you guys could use a lot of help. I mean, and like I said, I've been living in Blissland and helping people for hundreds of years now, and it's time to do something a bit different and help people here.
I'm still not past that hundreds of years. He's just looking at you like kind of gobsmacked.
she just kind of shrugs, like,
Yeah. I mean, for another person, he would be calling BS, but like he just feels like you can't. You are not the type of person to lie, and what reason would you have to do so?
Exactly. She doesn't seem like she's lying. She seems like just casually mentioning it. So
You keep talking about this thing, and he takes one of his claws and taps the amulet and makes it spin around a bit. He's just like, I do not know what this is. What do you mean recharge? What does this do?
Oh well, it's sort of like a portal. I mean, I guess I can show you when we have to head back. Well, it was made by well, the god of my world. You probably never heard of them, the Great Weaver.
You just have
yeah,
conversations
they
with
made
a
this-
god now and again. Okay, fine. It's just
Well,
like,
not
all right,
all the
this
time,
might
I
as well
mean-
happen. My accountant had a
Well, not
fight
all the
with
time,
one
I mean,
once.
You kind of
All
have to
right.
meditate to like talk to them, and sometimes they talk to you in your dreams. Yeah, and but that's why I didn't come here immediately because it took a really really long time to make this thing. So it's kind of
Great
important.
Weaver. He's writing that down as well. He says, I'm gonna be honest, if I didn't know that it was personal to you, all of this stuff about, looking after kids in their dreams and the Great Weaver, this would be great for a movie or a TV show. I mean, it's a wonderful idea. I've got to say, I do love that. But I won't do it. See, you don't have to take the position permanently, but if you are really feeling as connected to me as I am to you, how about you like pop in once in a while? Like, how about once a week?
Yeah, that'd be great. I mean, and I wouldn't really want to live here. I mean, I can go back and forth between Blissland, so I'd probably want to keep living there. But yeah, I mean, if you want to hire me, then I'd love to.
I don't know what I'd do to repay you. Like, you I asked if you needed me to put you up, and you asked why. But we have this thing called money in this world, and it's horrible, horrible stuff. But if there was some sort of recompense for your services, I would be keen to know.
We don't really use money back home, but I
Good.
guess if I'm gonna be living here for, yeah, no, money isn't really a thing back home. We just kind of, I mean, we can conjure food and everything. Just kind of share everything.
Wow, I would like to visit this place. And he's just like, he's pinching the bridge of his nose like, if I could take Screw McCodger to Blissland, oh, what a vision. He keeps that to himself. But yeah, he
Oh,
rotates
man.
his hand again and lets you keep talking.
No, I mean, I guess money would be useful if I'm staying here, because I mean, you need money to pay for things. Actually, come to think of it, do you need like, what's the word? It's like a special paper that lets you do a job. Like if if you do psychology, a degree, I think it is. Do I need one of those?
You know what? I do not know. I will talk to my accountant about that because he's smarter than I am. Just don't let him know that I said that. So he makes a note to ask Bob about whether or not they do need you to have a diploma or a degree or whatever to become the studio's official therapist. But he puts a paw up and he says, but like I'm saying, like just, you wouldn't have to be in the professional capacity at first. I want you to just come back and visit. I like you and I would like to talk to you more.
Oh, I like you too. And I think at this point she's just like so happy. She just like gives him a big hug. He goes around the desk and like just gives him a hug.
Oh. I mean, you get it back. Like he's become very huggy over the past years, thanks to you, most definitely. And he doesn't even know it. That's so sad. Oh my god.
And in the back of her mind, as she's hugging him, she immediately thinks, "Oh my gosh, this person gives like the most amazing hugs ever."
He is very warm. It is definitely the hot water bottle hug of the century. And even though like you can tell he's got pretty strong arms, he doesn't overdo it. He's not crushing you. He doesn't do the bear hug thing. But he's so happy, and you know there is this familiarity to this sensation, to your weight, to your density, and it's just uncanny. But this time he doesn't do a whiz save because he doesn't question it. He's just saying, okay, at some point I knew this, and I get to know it again, and that's wonderful.
Mm-hmm. I think you can definitely say that, I don't know how much Engie's glowing, but the heart on her chest is definitely glowing, like, very brightly right now.
Oh.
It just feels so right, and she's so happy, and, like, she missed this, but, like, she's never done this before, so she's not sure why she's thinking she missed this, but she's just so happy to get to hug this guy.
Gosh, I mean, I can see this as a wide shot, and, like, the room's lighting just changes. And, you know, there's his orange and your pink, and it's kind of, like, compressed in the middle of them. But it's so nostalgic. And, you know, the shadows they cast on the wall, like, you know, there is a knockback to that horrible staircase and stuff like that. But that's not with you right now, because we have forgotten that, and we are remembering this, which is so much bigger than that event. And it's a longer hug than two strangers would give each other, but he does eventually disconnect from you and says, okay, I want you to come back at least once a week just so we can do that again.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I definitely gotta come back to give you more hugs like that, because that was the best hug ever. And I've given a lot of hugs in my life, so that's saying something.
Well, I'll put you on the payroll if you really insist that there's nothing else I can barter with you, but I will definitely require you to pay me and me to pay you, and at least one hug per week, okay? Is that alright?
Sounds good to me.
Okay, that's a deal. And, shake?
Paw shake.
Yeah, paw shake. Ah, you're so squishy.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's got these rough, rugged palms, like, you know, underneath the feathers. There's a lot. There's a lot of scars and calluses that have built up over many stunts. But he handles you very delicately. He does not remotely come close to tearing your fabric.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, I think that
meanwhile,
was...
her paw is just like, it's like the softest thing.
Oh god, I really want to hug Minty so much. I do. Okay, well, reluctant as I am to let that in, was there anything else that you wanted to talk about? I know we haven't really solved any of these mysteries, but I feel like that'll take some time. Should we put our heads together and see if we can just try and remember, like, anything at all that happened?
Maybe, I mean, we could definitely try, and who knows, maybe if we did know each other at some point, maybe just being around each other will jog our memories. I don't really know.
Okay, I'm sorry, I've just got this mental image of them sitting on the floor and doing the Winnie the Pooh think.
Aww.
With the feet out and the paw on the head.
It's even better because she's a cuddly toy, so...
Yeah.
Aww.
And, he's not, but he is proportionally still fairly like one. Less so now because of my habit of stretching everybody's legs. I think if we both roll history, and just off that, like, see if there's anything, like, even the vaguest thing that comes to mind. I have no plus, so I can guarantee this is going to be terrible.
You have a plus.
Oh, 3! Oh.
21!
Oh my
Mitzi
goodness.
with a good roll this session, wow.
Oh, that's so fun. How do you want to do this? Because, I mean, like, with the 21, you definitely recall something, but it'll be very vague, I'm sure.
Definitely. Memory should it be? I think she remembers, water. Like, there's a lot of water, and she was swimming, and he was there, and there might have been someone else there.
Hmm.
This really big ocean, and it's about all she can remember.
Okay.
I think she'll kind of pipe up and be like, "Oh, I remember something," and she'll kind of describe it to him, like big ocean. They were all swimming in for some reason, and she's pretty sure he was there too. So.
An ocean? You sure? How the
I know it's really clear to me now for some reason. There's just this big ocean, and I think there was someone else with us. Can't remember who they were. I think they were some kind of bird.
You sure that's not me again?
No, different bird.
Okay. Well, I'll chew on that. I can't say it's ringing any bells for me, but who knows? Maybe something will come back to me. It's peculiar what happens in your sleep, and I'm sure well, considering your line of work, I'm sure you would understand that. Sometimes I sleep on a problem with my
Definitely.
scripts, and the next day it just solves itself. So I'll try and remember something about an ocean and maybe someone else. Okay. I'd say I'm getting old, but compared to you, doesn't it really feel like much of a standpoint being 60, whatever I am now? Probably one. Oy, I'm losing count.
Wow, 60, you really have lived a long time, says the 300-year-old rabbit.
He still looks kind of proud, but like he sort of like does the proud Elmo head wiggle and then realizes this is kind of like, someone who's 40 telling a 5-year-old that they're very old and grown up. And sort of then just slowly looks at you like, okay, fine. Well, for some teens, I suppose it's fair going. Okay, well, is there anything else that I can do for you? Because, I mean, you went through a lot yesterday. Is there anything your wee friends would want?
Honestly, I think at this point they just want to go back home,
and she'll look at her amulet again, and it kind of, there's a sheen to it now.
Like, oh, it looks like it's been enough time now.
Well, don't let me keep you. Though I have to say I am curious to see it working.
Yeah, and I think we can do this here because I wasn't sure if like my friends and I might like write about this later, like we do a doc or something.
Well,
But
we can
for
just
now, like
summarize
we can say
it.
like we can just cut ahead. Exactly,
Yeah.
like maybe Minty talks to them at some point later on, but we can just skip ahead to like when they're leaving.
Mhm.
So, yeah, so I think she probably finds a spot like outside of Dodo Studios because the thing with the amulet, and she'll explain this to everyone, is that basically where you put the portal down is like sort of where the portal appears again. So it's kind of like a fixed point. And that she didn't really want like having the portal like right inside Dodo Studios because like then if she brings anyone else through, that would be kind of weird because like they're just popping up in the middle of the studio. So like they're probably like just like maybe the gate like just outside the studio or something.
Sure. I mean, there's actually
So
sort of there's oh bother, what do you call it? A perimeter between it and the fence that surrounds it. As much good as that does for security. Guy. Anyway, but yes, you're very welcome to put it wherever you please.
Of course, yeah, she'll plonk it down right there. So yeah, so I'll bid farewell to everybody there, and yeah, he will see her activate the the amulet, she does kind of an incantation, and sees the air next to her waver a bit, like you see on like a hot day or something, and then almost like the air is made of fabric or something. There's a tear in it. You even see like kind of on the edges of the portal, like sort of almost like wispy strings, like it is like made of torn fabric or something.
Wow.
It's very hard to see what's on the other side of the portal. It's in interdimensional travel. It's weird, so you can't really see
fabric
through
of
it.
space time. Ah! So good. So good.
Get it?
I do. I love it.
All right. Right. Then they all bid him farewell, and they go through the portal and they head back home. And then once they're all through, the tear in reality quite literally knits itself back together, and it is gone.
That is so cool. I think that's his response as well. Like, he doesn't say it out loud, but he's just like, wow. Wow. Like, he just has tried. He's tried to understand magic. But you know what? Sometimes it's better to just be in awe of something. So yeah, he looks at the space where you left for a little bit, then puts his hands in his pocket and turns around and decides he'd better be early on time next week to see you come back, because wow. Hooray!
All right. And, yeah, I think
Very good. Oh, but while we're here, because you did say something that you wanted to happen.
there was another little thing.
Was it something? Okay, so this is against his passive perception, but let's see. Ooh, 14. Oh wow, it's exactly the same. As he's going back inside, his owlish ears twitch and he spins around very, very quickly. Can't quite see or hear whatever it was that just caught his attention, and he has like just the edge of a bad feeling, but he can't see why, and he just kind of fine and goes back inside because someone is calling him and he has to do more stuff. And outside of the metal fence we see someone, a very skinny ferret Toonkind rubber hose, breathing rather hard with bugged out eyes, just like, oh, whoa. And he's wearing pinstripes, and he says, gosh, I gotta tell the boss about that. And he runs off screen.
Ooh.
Uh-oh. So,
Yeah.
what the boss will make of that?
In the future.
That's a problem
Dun,
for
dun.
tomorrow. Okay, this was great, and I love Minty
was
so
so
much.
good.
This was very
That
soft
was
and wholesome.
awesome.
Thank you for
We
letting.
did it, gang. They finally, after like a whole year, they finally got to hug again.
Oh gosh, you know, like when I was saying this feels so familiar to him, it feels familiar to me too. I miss this. Many emotions, and it does. It stays with you. I think that's something that like D&D is really amazing for. Like sometimes you don't
Yeah.
remember exactly the words you said or precisely like the details, but you remember the emotions. You remember what you
About the feels,
felt
man.
when that happened, and it's like that actually doesn't go away. Like games I played 10 years ago, I remember how I felt when that happened. And yeah, so you will always be a very special place for me in my memory, and I think that's extremely cool and magical. So thank you for letting me relive that.
Oh, thank you too, Bud. And thank you so much for like helping me like set all this up, and like and now Minty can come to Einquell, and like and her friends can come too, and just, I'm so glad like we're finally able to do this.
You can have your own little room in the studio which has so many people in it, but I don't care. They're big ass places. They need lots of people, and we definitely need an in-house therapist.
As big as it needs to be.
Yeah, it's as big as it needs to be, or as big as it is to be funny. So. Okay, is there anything else
We
you
finally have a studio therapist now, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else you'd like to say before we wrap up?
I think that's about it. Debating like I'll definitely have plans down the line. Like if I might do like see about doing an FPS about like detailing like Minty getting her degree or something. It's probably gonna be a quick thing. Like
that would be cute. I mean, we sure have some academic types around here, so like you may well find someone
Definitely, yeah.
to have obtained that from. I mean, I'm not volunteering Vodlig, but he's an example. We've also got Zan, who might be possible. Anyway, we'll save that for another time. Okay, this was wonderful. Thank you very, very much, and I hope everyone listening had a good time too. Yay!
Love you guys.
Goodbye. Gonna stop recording now. Bye.
Bye.